G'day guys and gal. In life, there is such a thing as a bad idea. Putting a fork in a toaster, bad idea. Putting honey on your dick and then sticking it into a beehive, bad idea. Attempting to tame intergalactic space bugs of death, really bad idea. It didn't work for Weyland Yutani in the Alien franchise, so the odds of it working in the 40k universe were also pretty damn low. But is it actually possible? Can you tame a Tyranid and separate it from the hive mind, making it docile or even turning it into a pet or weapon? Before we get started, we have an epic major mini launch for you today, as we're bringing back two massive fan favorite minis, if you want to even call them minis. That being the Space Elf Titan and the True Scale King Orc. The Space Elf Titan sold out within 15 minutes last time we launched it, and there's no surprises why. It's an incredible model, towering over official Titan models with significantly more detail and better proportions. We've been hard at work pre-making these, so we managed to create significantly more than last time. It's honestly such a stunning model that I've been creaming to bring it back. Made by the legendary 3D art guy. To complete this little clash of the Titans, we're also bringing back the True Scale King Orc. This dude always sells out so bloody fast. It's not a shocker. If you took a King Orc from Battlemace 40 million and accurately scaled him to the tabletop, this is how big he would be. Awesome to use in dioramas or even as an Orc Gargant proxy. Now unfortunately, due to the difficulty of manufacturing such insane models, this launch is limited and will sell out before becoming unavailable once again. So if you missed out last time, then you only have a limited window. You can get each Titan separately, or if you get them in a bundle offer, you'll save a lot of money. Link to these and many other major minis are below, most of which you can actually get pre-painted. Did I mention we also have partnered up with Warren Bristle Studios, a company founded by multiple Golden Demon winners, to release the Precision Painting Handle, the ultimate, by far most superior painting handle, featuring an adjustable head so you don't need to awkwardly turn your model over the place, as well as different attachments. We've sold out of the Ultimate Edition, but still have 100 or so of the Standard Edition left before it's gone for good, so don't miss out. Today we'll go over if the Tyranids can actually be controlled or even tamed, detailing the attempts made, which ones were and were not successful, and if Tyranid taming is even a viable strategy. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we know how leashable a Tyranid is, no, I don't mean that in the sexual way, you sick fucks, we first need to understand a Tyranid. Tyranids are perfectly engineered bioweapons created by an overarching hive mind who only has one desire: to consume. The hive mind is highly intelligent, highly adaptable, and exhibits absolute control of its Tyranids. However, that hive mind connection can be broken, turning Nids from docile, coordinated warriors into feral animals. Still dangerous, but significantly easier to deal with. When connected with the hive mind, a Tyranid is impossible to tame or control. If anything, it's a huge hazard, as the hive mind can track it, but if separated, the Tyranid is just a big dangerous animal, a huge hole left in its consciousness that could potentially be filled. Feral Tyranids are a big thing in Warhammer. If some are left feral for too long and begin to reproduce as feral Tyranids, they often naturally adapt to the world they are on and completely lose connection with the hive mind. There are some theories, which I personally don't really like much, that Catachan is so deadly because of a small scout fleet of Tyranids that arrived, many years ahead of the main fleet, that then proceeded to lose connection to the hive mind, went feral, and then took over as the flora and fauna of the world, which is why it's so dangerous. Likewise, a similar theory for Fenris exists, with the mighty Krakens of Fenris being feral mutated Tyranids. I don't like the theory, as it basically says everything scary and dangerous is actually a Tyranid Lamau. It's like, no mate, let there be spooky, mysterious Lovecraftian horrors that aren't part Tyranid. Anyway, the reason I'm talking about feral Tyranids is that feral Tyranids can actually be somewhat fucked around with in the taming and controlling department, even indirectly. A great example is Fabius Bile, because of course he was involved. When Fabius stole a sample of the blood of Sanguinius from the Blood Angels, the 9th Legion was enraged and tracked him down to an aquatic world. The world had been attacked by Tyranids, but actually maintained its biosphere and was not consumed, with Fabius actually having an underwater fortress that was protected by gigantic feral Kraken Tyranids. These Tyranids were not loyal to Fabius or were his pets, however he did somehow manage to capture and then bend a zoanthrope to his will, using the Synapse creature to stop the Krakenids from attacking his fortress and merely protect it instead, whilst also using it to create warp portals he could use at will. So Fabius amazingly did manage to technically tame and control this zoanthrope. However, the zoanthrope fucking hated being controlled, and when the Blood Angels reached it, it happily let them kill it, mostly because its power was being used not for the hive mind, but I would argue as a semi-sentient creature, it also probably was in agony and begged for death. Another example is the Iron Warriors. They managed to ambush and capture a Tyranid bioship and decided they wanted to use it for themselves. However, a living bioship will never serve another master. Its connection to the hive mind is too strong, so they made it brain dead, completely severing its connection to the hive mind, and then they infected it with the Obliterator obliterator virus, turning it into this abomination that was loyal to the Iron Warriors. Is it now this immensely powerful thing? Well, not really. Seems more like a publicity stunt than anything else, and I'm not sure if this goes under the dictionary definition of tamed, but still worth a mention. It isn't all just about chaotic forbidden sciences that can control the Tyranids. As the hive mind works via psychic connection with the Tyranids, a powerful enough psychic can actually overpower a Tyranid's connection to the hive mind and technically become its new hive mind master. This process is difficult, takes a lot of effort, and will only really work on one Tyranid at a time, but a scythe of the Emperor Librarian actually managed to calm down Arcana effects and temporarily control it. However, the effort left him open for another Tyranid to come and turn him into paste. Probably just better off shooting lightning out of their dickholes, to be honest. Something to mention now, even though it wasn't really with Tyranid taming, is the Imperial project. The Imperium do enjoy experimenting with Xenos, but generally not in a retarded Weyland-Yutani way, where they always try and tame the Xenomorphs, but it always ends horribly, but they keep trying. The Imperium experimented to try find the Tyranids' weaknesses to make them easier to destroy, whether that weakness be a bioweapon or some way to control them. The Imperial project was an advanced research project centered on the Tyranids, which went horribly wrong. The Tyranid samples collected eventually evolved and broke out of the facility, killing everyone. The Space Marines sent to investigate and clean up came under heavy attack, with even more Imperials dying before the planet was abandoned and all contact was lost. So yeah, I just reckon stick to the tried and true method of flamethrowers and big ass guns. So obviously there is a big issue with imprisoned Tyranids, that being they act as lures and trackers for hive fleets. One strategy factions use against each other is to capture an elite Tyranid form, put it in a box, and then sneak the box onto an enemy world, thus luring a hive fleet to it. It's pretty fucking hilarious. However, Tyranids are also used in Custodian blood games as well as the Arena of Comera, yet the Nids do not attack those places. Why is that? Well, I assume for the Custodies there is some kind of blank aura protection in the palace, which is why enemies can't just teleport inside. This aura would separate the Tyranids from the hive mind as well, basically just making them big scary feral monsters. For the Dark Elder, they are masters of biomancy and genetic modification. They also specifically remark that Tyranid genetics are easy to manipulate and modify, which makes sense since they are so adaptable and literally are made to be modifiable. As such, I believe the Dark Elder simply take the Tyranids, modify them so the hive mind cannot find them, then release them into the arena for the joy of battle. The more extreme Dark Elder are also known to graft Tyranid parts onto their own bodies, such as the weapon arms, which gives some Dark Elder the ick. It's unclear if this will have further reaching effects in the future, but it also doesn't seem like something they can just get away with. There is a reason the crew did not eat and evolve using gene stealer or Tyranid DNA. Gene stealers provide a more interesting situation, as they are significantly more independent and sentient. There was even a case of a gene stealer patriarch ignoring the orders of the hive mind as it wanted to instead chase and then get revenge on those who had hurt it. One radical inquisitor actually had a gene stealer hybrid elder woman in his warband. Radical as fuck. This sounds like a terrible idea, however the call of the hive mind can be resisted if your will is strong enough. Some space marines have been infected by gene stealers and they use psychic dampening hoods to keep the hive mind's influence at bay. Likewise, the elder is significantly more complex than humans, so I can imagine them being able to compartmentalize the gene stealer infection and prevent it from dominating them. However, as I said, this is a radical inquisitor's warband and may or may not end badly. Not to feel left out, the orcs kind of seem to have invented a method of dealing with the Tyranids, but it is quite weird. Basically, one of their mech boys somehow invented a crown that when activated, releases a pulse that disrupts the Tyranid synapse connection, making them confused and docile, thus easy to slaughter. I'm not sure if this could be a viable way to end up controlling or taming the Tyranids, but it's interesting nonetheless. Apparently the Death Watch agrees anyway, as they waited for the fight to end, then they ran in, killed the orc with the crown, and took the crown for study. Now while I do say that the Imperium generally doesn't follow Weyland-Yutani into retard-fueled damnation, they did actually try to just straight up mind control a Tyranid. Using a device to block the Tyranid's connection to the hive mind, they hoped that they could tame or control it. Well, it got out, caused havoc, and it ended terribly for everyone. Just kill the fucking things. The main issue is that the hive mind is aware that its Tyranids have potential weakness to being controlled. After all, they were designed as advanced sophisticated puppets. In theory, if you cut their strings, another could puppet them. Hence many failsafes were put into place that meant if anything other than the hive mind tried to act like the hive mind, the Tyranid would get extremely violent and feral. This is why there is no real example of a Tyranid genuinely getting domesticated and turned into a loyal pet or tamed enough for use. Even Fabius controlling the Zoanothrop appeared to be more based on torture and forced control rather than him actually taming them. The best people seem to manage is making a Tyranid go feral and then manipulating its significantly less intelligent form for its own ends, or they merely manage to slow them down for a time. Lesson of the day. Kill the Tyranids. You want to have a pet? Get a fucking cyberdog. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Space Elf Titan or True Scale King Orc, or both if you're feeling spicy. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more Tame content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.